but you want to boycott the one player, looking right at you, Angel Reese and Asia Wilson, one player that has caused the revenue to go way up in the monetary values. That's what you want to do. You think you're helping these women?
A shocking divide is unfolding in women's basketball as some players and their supporters, including Aya Wilson's fans, are allegedly urging people to boycott Caitlin Clark's games. This has left millions of new fans puzzled. Why attempt to undermine the very player who has drawn unprecedented attention to the sport?
What they're mad about, 41 nationally televised games, and they are furious over it. I can't understand.
The WNBA has never been this popular. Fever games are selling out. ESPN is broadcasting more women's basketball than ever, and social media is buzzing with discussions about the league. Yet, instead of embracing this explosive growth, certain athletes and their fan bases seem determined to resist it. This boycott attempt reveals a deeper and more unsettling truth.
The original fans, activist fans, that's what they are, all right? Just keeping it real. They don't like the fact that you want to watch these games. They don't like the fact you are 3 or 4 times the amount of them.
One fueled by jealousy, power struggles, and the politics of celebrity. Is this a fight for fairness, or is it an attempt to suppress a rising star? The battle for the future of women's basketball has begun, and its outcome will shape the sport for years to come. Have you been keeping up with the latest drama in the WNBA? A fierce battle is unfolding among fans, sparked by Caitlin Clark's unprecedented 41 nationally televised games this season, more than any other player in the league.
Right here, Caitlin Clark in the Fever will have more nationally televised games than any NBA player this year. Sorry, LeBron. Sorry, Luka. Sorry, every other player in the league. Let's be honest. I've seen the NBA ratings. She's beaten most of them.
What should have been a celebration of women's basketball is instead fueling unexpected divisions. The tension has escalated to shocking levels. Some WNBA fans are allegedly plotting to boycott Indiana Fever games in an attempt to suppress Clark's rising stardom. But is such a move even possible? Their goal is clear: to limit viewership and diminish the attention she's receiving. And this isn't just a case of a few bitter trolls on social media. Disturbingly, even individuals with ties to the WNBA media ecosystem are pushing the agenda, encouraging fans to either illegally stream games or avoid watching when the Fever take the court.
So they're all mad right now, furious, and my goodness, guys, they're talking boycott. Oh, what? Oh, there's strength in numbers. There's tens of you. That's
Is this a genuine debate about fairness, or is it a calculated attempt to stifle one of the league's biggest rising stars? One thing is certain: the battle for control over women's basketball is heating up like never before. Tensions are reaching a boiling point, and the WNBA has found itself at the center of an intense firestorm. Fans are in an uproar, and talks of boycotts are spreading like wildfire. The reason? Caitlin Clark, a rookie, is set to receive more national TV coverage than any other player, not just in the WNBA, but even some of the biggest superstars in the NBA. It's a moment unlike anything basketball has ever seen.
And yes, I understand. This is a very, very small minority. It is a very small minority of people, but it is a loud, vocal minority. And this is not the general public. This is not the general population.
Luka Doncic, LeBron James, Stephen Curry, these are generational talents who have dominated the NBA for years. And yet, this season, they will be featured on national television less than a first-year WNBA player. That's completely unprecedented in the sport's history. But this isn't just about who gets the most screen time. It's about a seismic shift in the WNBA's narrative, one that has sparked fierce debate and deep divisions within the league's most passionate fan base. Of course, the loudest voices in this controversy belong to a small but incredibly influential minority.
We're not supposed to talk about it out loud, maybe. That's a massive part. Straight white girl is a big part of it, too. I mean, it's out loud. It's out loud. It just came out of my mouth like that. Just easy peasy. So they're mad, and they are calling for boycotts.
For years, A dedicated group of WNBA loyalists has carried the league through its ups and downs, standing by it when few others were watching. They fought to keep the sport relevant, championing the players and the culture of women's basketball. But now, everything is changing at a pace they never expected. The sudden influx of millions of new fans, many of whom had never followed the WNBA before, is shaking up the league's identity in ways no one could have predicted. This unexpected surge in popularity has forced a reckoning within the sport. Longtime supporters are feeling pushed aside, as fresh audiences, drawn in by Caitlin Clark's star power, begin to redefine the WNBA's mainstream appeal.
The Slows are now planning to, quote, boycott Indiana Fever games to affect the viewership. They really think they matter in the big scheme of things.
The league structure, its marketing, and even the athletes receiving attention are undergoing a dramatic transformation. Some see this as the best thing to ever happen to women's basketball, a long overdue breakthrough into the mainstream. Others see it as an erasure of everything they've worked to build. At the heart of it all lies an uncomfortable reality. This isn't just about basketball anymore.
It's just mad. And what they have now trying to do is they are trying to boycott Indiana Fever games. I'm not joking when I say this. They are literally saying, boycott Indiana. We need to all boycott the Indiana Fever games so they don't get more national TV games. We don't get more national TV games next year.
It's about power, influence, and who gets to control the narrative. The voices calling for boycotts may be in the minority, but they are loud, and they refuse to back down. The WNBA is at a crossroads, and the battle over its future is only just beginning. Will the league embrace this explosive new era, or will resistance from within hold it back from reaching its full potential?
Cannot believe it. And again, this is a minority of people, but the problem is the idiotic minority somehow have a lot of them somehow have ins with WNBA players, WNBA teams and stuff. I cannot believe it.
When you take a closer look at what's truly happening, the boycott campaign doesn't just expose resentment toward Caitlin Clark. It reveals a much deeper, more unsettling reality about the state of women's basketball. Instead of embracing the unprecedented surge in popularity that Clark has brought to the WNBA, a vocal group of longtime fans would rather see fewer viewers, fewer sold-out arenas, and fewer national broadcasts than watch or dominate the spotlight. Their resentment runs so deep that they are willing to actively undermine the league's growth, prioritizing their personal frustrations over the future of the sport itself. WNBA media officials and analysts have condemned this movement, pointing out that the small but loud faction does not represent the broader fan base. The vast majority of WNBA supporters are excited about the league's rapid expansion, yet this boycott movement follows a pattern that has played out time and time again across different industries.
Equivalent. I just can't believe it. But their reasoning for boycotting the Fever games, they're literally saying, we should illegally stream the games in the Fever play our team. And I'm like, one, you are not a big enough percentage of the population for it to have any of.
Whether it's gaming, comic books, music, or any other niche culture that suddenly explodes into the mainstream, early supporters often feel a sense of ownership over what was once an exclusive space. They were there when no one else cared, and now, as millions of new fans flood in, they feel threatened, almost as if their identity within the community is being erased. But here's the problem. Their resistance to change is not just ineffective, it's potentially destructive. Critics of the boycott argue that these fans aren't just targeting Caitlin Clark, they're jeopardizing the financial future of the entire league. If viewership declines because of their efforts, the consequences will be felt by every single player, not just Clark.
All that does is harm the players. No matter who you are, what team you are a fan of, if you want the players to make more money,
fewer viewers mean fewer sponsorships, less investment, and smaller contracts. In a league where Caitlin Clark's impact on the WNBA has been nothing short of revolutionary. Just a few years ago, WNBA games struggled to pull in even 200,000 viewers, barely making a dent in the larger sports landscape. Fast forward to today, and the numbers have skyrocketed. Clark's games alone are drawing well over 1 million viewers each time she steps onto the court. This is not just a slight improvement, It's an unprecedented explosion of interest that could redefine the league's financial landscape for years to come.
They're actively trying to ungrow the game. It's madness. It's absolutely madness. Like, they're threatening to boycott the Fever Games. All 257 of them threatening to boycott Fever Games like it makes any difference. Like, these people are not fans of basketball. These people are actually not fans of the WNBA.
What many people fail to understand is that this isn't just about one player, it's about the entire WNBA's future. When a league experiences a five-fold increase in viewership, it creates a ripple effect that benefits every single player, from rising rookies to seasoned veterans. The boycott campaign, fueled by resentment and jealousy, is not just an attack on Clark, it's a direct threat to the financial well-being of all WNBA athletes. The WNBA doesn't arbitrarily decide how much to pay its players. Their salaries are directly linked to media rights agreements with major television networks like ESPN, ABC, and CBS. These networks don't pay for WNBA games out of goodwill. They invest in sports based on viewership numbers and advertising revenue potential. Simply put, more viewers mean more money.
They just don't like Caitlin Clark. Like, this is genuinely, it's nothing to do with basketball. And it's nothing to do with Caitlin Clark, the person. There's no rhyme or reason to it, because I don't think there is a harder person to dislike.
The more people tune in, the more valuable WNBA games become to advertisers, and the more networks are willing to invest in broadcasting rights. This isn't just theory, it's exactly how every major sports league in the world generates its revenue. Right now, the WNBA is in the middle of renegotiating its next major media rights deal. This is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to secure bigger contracts, larger salaries, and more exposure for the league. And what's driving this newfound surge of interest? Caitlin Clark. TV networks are not blind to numbers. They see the record-breaking viewership. They see Clark's games selling out arenas, drawing millions of new fans, and becoming some of the most watched women's basketball events in history. To them, this translates into massive business opportunities. They're ready to pay significantly more than ever before to secure the broadcasting rights to WNBA games. And yet, despite this monumental growth, some WNBA fans are actively trying to sabotage the league's success. They're promoting the idea that people should boycott Indiana Fever Games.
Caitlin Clark. It's a personal thing. And they will literally... These people, again, they're not fans of basketball, they're not fans of the WNBA, they're not fans of any teams. They just don't like Caitlin Clark.
Illegally stream broadcasts, or simply stop watching when Clark plays. Their reasoning? They believe Clark is receiving too much attention, and that it's unfair to other players. But let's be clear, this boycott isn't just a protest against Clark, it's an attack on the entire WNBA's financial future. If fewer people watch, TV networks will hesitate to invest in broadcasting rights. If networks hesitate, players' salaries won't increase. If salaries don't increase, the WNBA risks losing its best talent to overseas leagues that pay more. In other words, the boycott is a direct threat to the WNBA's long-term survival. Those pushing this agenda are not just harming Clark, they are actively hurting the very players they claim to support.
I don't think they understand there's no viewership before Clark. So if they boycott, would it really move the needle?
Caitlin Clark's rise isn't taking anything away from other WNBA players. If anything, she's giving them a platform they never had before. Her presence is bringing in millions of new fans, increasing merchandise sales, filling up arenas, and boosting television ratings. This newfound global spotlight isn't just helping Clark, it's helping everyone who plays in the WNBA. Bigger audiences mean larger endorsement deals, higher sponsorship revenue, and an increased salary cap for all players. The very people calling for a boycott fail to recognize the larger picture. Clark's influence is not temporary. She's setting the foundation for a new era of women's basketball. Before she arrived, WNBA players often struggled for mainstream recognition. Now, for the first time ever, they are competing on a stage with unprecedented visibility and financial opportunities. The question remains, are these boycott supporters truly fans of women's basketball?